Welcome to today's custom-tailored deep dive. We are so glad you are here with us. We were looking at something pretty wild today. Imagine a sovereign nation essentially handing over the keys to its borders, not to government officials, but to a private panel of tech executives, scientists, and faction designers.
Yeah, it sounds like the premise of a dystopian sci-fi novel, honestly.
It really does. But it is actually the operational reality of the UK's current immigration strategy. So today, we are looking at a stack of sources you provided about the UK Global Talent Visa.
Hmm.
And on one side of the table, we have the official GOV UK overview pages, which, let's be honest, read like a highly dense administrative legal manual.
Extremely dense, yeah. And contrasting that really dry policy document is a transcript from a highly enthusiastic 2026 explainer video. The creator of that video practically calls this visa a real-life golden ticket to the UK.
A golden ticket.
Right. Just promising unprecedented professional autonomy.
So our mission today is to take that thesis, this idea of a privatized, hyper-flexible immigration system, and test it against the mechanics of the actual law. We are going to cut through the bureaucratic jargon and the YouTube hype to figure out what this visa actually is.
Yeah, who the UK government is really trying to attract.
Exactly. And whether this route is genuinely the ultimate hack to professional freedom. Okay, let's unpack this. We need to start with the structural philosophy of this visa because it operates on a fundamentally different axis than traditional immigration.
It really requires a complete mental pivot. Traditional immigration is built on containment and tracking.
Right.
A government wants to know exactly where a foreign national is working, what their salary is, who is responsible for them. That creates a highly controlled binary system.
It's like if we look at a standard work visa, the mechanics are basically an arranged marriage.
Oh, an arranged marriage. That's a good way to frame it.
Right, because a single employer essentially owns your right to stay. The host country is like the bank. And they don't actually trust you, the individual. They only trust the collateral, which is the specific corporation sponsoring you.
Yeah, and if you lose that job, or if you just decide, hey, I want to quit and start my own company, the bank calls in the loan.
Exactly. Your right to stay evaporates because the collateral is gone. But this visa is basically a freelance passport.
It abandons that corporate loan model entirely. Instead, the framework resembles venture capital. The UK government is acting as an investor, and they are investing directly in the individual's human capital.
And their future trajectory.
Right. The GOV UK guidelines explicitly state that you can work for any employer, change jobs without notifying the Home Office, start a business, or just operate as an independent freelancer.
Which is huge.
Yeah, there is zero requirement for a corporate sponsor or a single job offer.
You just show up and navigate the market on your own terms. And from a geopolitical perspective, we can see why the UK felt forced to pivot to this VC model, to compete globally for top-tier talent against places like the US or Canada or the EU. They realized friction is the enemy.
Friction kills innovation, yeah.
Exactly. By removing that corporate tether, they were essentially weaponizing autonomy to drain talent from other markets. As long as you are at least 18 years old, you are good to go.
And the 2026 modernization efforts that were highlighted in the explainer video, they really reinforce that strategy of removing friction. The system has completely phased out physical biometric residence permits.
Oh, right. No
Business cards.
Yeah, everything is now managed through a digital eVisa linked directly to your passport.
So you aren't carrying around a separate piece of government plastic to prove your right to exist in the economy.
Exactly. The verification happens seamlessly on the back end when you cross a border or sign a lease. And that VC-style investment extends to the time frame, too.
Yeah, this part blew my mind.
Right. The sources note you can live and work in the UK for up to 5 years at a time, but more importantly, there is no maximum limit on your total stay or renewals. You just infinitely renew.
You can just stay. The structure is totally designed for retention. They want you to plant roots, build companies, and embed yourself in their economy without this looming threat of an arbitrary visa expiration just forcing you out.
Right, but operating a venture capital model for border control raises a massive filter question.
Oh, for sure.
Autonomy is a high-risk proposition for a government. If they are granting this level of unchecked professional freedom, they must be rigorously filtering who actually gets the ticket.
Yeah, and wait, the name itself, Global Talent, sounds incredibly exclusionary.
It does.
Do you have to have a Nobel Prize or be the CEO of a unicorn startup to even consider this? It sounds so intimidating.
It is an intimidating brand name. If you look at how the legislation defines the eligible categories, the filter is much more nuanced.
Okay, so who actually qualifies?
Well, the talent pool is divided into three distinct buckets. We've got science and research, which includes medicine, engineering, social sciences.
Okay.
Then there's digital technology. And finally, arts and culture.
But the actual disciplines within those buckets subvert a lot of traditional expectations, right?
Hmm.
We aren't just talking about bench scientists and fine artists here.
Not at all. And this relieves a lot of anxiety for people. The crucial distinction is between the two application categories, exceptional talent and exceptional promise.
Exceptional promise, right?
Yeah. If the UK is playing venture capitalist, exceptional talent is late-stage funding. You are already an established global leader, but exceptional promise is seed funding.
Which is meant for rising stars.
Exactly. You do not need to be at the absolute peak of your career. You merely need to prove a steep upward trajectory.
So you just have to prove your trajectory.
Right.
And the digital tech bucket explicitly includes the commercial side of the industry.
Yeah.
So if I am a product manager who has successfully scaled a major software platform or a startup founder who understands tech commercialization, I fit into that category, even if I don't write a single line of code.
Precisely. The policy acknowledges that technical innovation requires commercial execution. And furthermore, the brand new 2026 update to the arts and culture bucket introduces a dedicated pathway for design.
Which is super interesting.
Yeah, fashion designers, architects, graphic designers, they now have a specific channel. It's a very modern economic view of what constitutes valuable talent.
But proving a trajectory is fundamentally different from proving a peak achievement like a Nobel Prize. Which brings us to the next hurdle. Once you identify that you fit into one of these buckets, you have to prove it. But surprisingly, it's not government bureaucrats who judge your worth.
No, because a civil servant at the Home Office cannot accurately judge the quality of a software engineer's open source commit history.
Right.
Nor can they assess the avant-garde nature of a fashion designer's new collection. Recognizing this limitation, the Home Office completely outsourced the evaluation process.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They basically privatize the gauntlet.
Yeah, it's a unique two-stage system. Stage one is the endorsement. You don't send your portfolio to the government. Your application goes to an industry-specific evaluating body.
Like an audition.
Exactly like a tough audition. For digital tech, your application goes to an organization called Tech Nation. For science, it goes to the Royal Society.
So you are subjected to a peer review process by established experts in your specific field.
Yes, and they demand objective evidence. They evaluate your media coverage, they analyze your salary history to see if the free market actually values your skills, and they require highly specific recommendation letters.
And let's be clear about those letters, because looking at the government overview, this is not a generic, oh, he is a good team player reference from your middle manager.
No, absolutely not.
These must be from senior industry giants, who are essentially putting their own professional reputation on the line to tell the evaluating body that your trajectory will directly benefit the UK economy.
The evaluating body takes on the risk of the assessment. If they issue a golden letter of endorsement, they are telling the Home Office that this individual is a solid investment.
Passing that panel of tough industry judges is the real hurdle, because once you secure that endorsement, stage two is essentially just paying the administrative cover charge at the door.
Right. You take that letter to the Home Office and apply for the actual visa.
Because the peer review panel already cleared you, the Home Office mostly just runs standard criminal and health background checks.
Exactly. And because the heavy lifting is handled by these agile industry bodies rather than backlogged government desks, the timeline collapses.
So fast.
The sources show that a stage one endorsement decision typically takes 4 to 8 weeks. Then, once endorsed, the stage two visa processing is around 3 weeks if you apply from outside the UK. Or 8 weeks if you are already inside the UK, maybe switching from a student visa. Fast-track options are also available.
What fascinates me is how this decentralized timeline completely changes the leverage an employee has. Let's look at the specific scenario outlined in the explainer video. They bring up a senior software engineer based in Lagos or Bangalore.
Right, a prime demographic for this specific route.
Under the old corporate loan model, this engineer has to spend months interviewing remotely, hoping a UK firm has a valid sponsorship license.
Hoping they haven't hit their foreign worker quota.
Yeah, and hoping the firm is willing to pay thousands in legal fees to sponsor them. The company holds all the leverage.
Which often depresses the salary the engineer can command.
Exactly. But with the global talent visa, That engineer gathers their open source contributions, gets a stellar recommendation from a high-ranking mentor, and uses exceptional promise to move to London as a free agent.
They get endorsed, apply for the visa, and land in the UK ready to work.
And the mechanics of that free agency are wild. They can take a high-paying job at a major firm in London. But 6 months later, if they spot a gap in the market, they can freely quit that job to start an AI consultancy.
Yes.
The Home Office isn't notified. Their visa isn't in jeopardy. The system literally expects them to pivot and take risks.
And it is worth noting, there is an ultimate bypass to even this streamlined two-stage process.
Oh, right, the prize list.
Yeah. If you have won an eligible, prestigious prize, you skip stage 1 entirely and apply directly for the visa.
But the mechanics of this bypass are incredibly strict, based on the GOV UK guidelines. You cannot have simply contributed to a team that won. You must be the named winner, and the prize must be explicitly listed on the government's index.
You cannot substitute a regional award. The government trusts the Nobel Committee or the Turing Award Committee even more than their own endorsing bodies.
Right. So you pass the expert audition or you bypass it with a prize, and you are ready to move. What does the financial reality actually look like? Because this VC-style route shifts the administrative and financial burden entirely from the corporation to you, the individual.
It does.
The explainer video enthusiastically calls this a bargain, but I really have to question that claim. Analyzing the GOV UK numbers paints a much more complex picture.
Well, the baseline application fees are relatively straightforward. The total cost is £766.
Right, which is bifurcated if you do the two-stage route.
Exactly. Stage 1 endorsement costs £561, and Stage 2 visa application costs £205.
Which totals $766. And it's worth pointing out that the explainer video actually slightly misquoted the Stage 1 fee as £524, but the official government source is clear on the current $561 figure.
Good catch. And if you bypass Stage 1 with a prize, you just pay the $766 up front.
But here's my issue. Framing £766 as the true cost of this visa ignores a massive hidden financial heavyweight.
You are talking about the immigration health surcharge.
Exactly. The baseline fee is just the administrative cost. The health surcharge is £1,035 per year per person, and it must be paid upfront.
For the entire duration of the visa.
Yes. So if you apply for a 5-year visa, you must immediately produce over £5,000 just to cover your own healthcare surcharge before you'd even buy a plane ticket.
The government's logic there is that as an unsponsored resident, you are capitalizing your expected use of the National Health Service up front rather than slowly paying into it via payroll taxes.
Which makes sense on a macro level, but look at how that scales for a family. The sources make it clear you can bring your partner and children, but they each have to pay the $766 application fee, and they each incur that $1,035 annual health surcharge.
Oh, the costs multiply quickly.
A family of 4 applying for a 5-year visa is looking at a massive upfront bill of well over £20,000. Calling that a bargain fundamentally misrepresents the sheer amount of liquidity required to utilize this route.
That financial barrier is undeniable.
It's huge.
It filters out individuals who may possess raw talent but lack the liquid capital to essentially buy their family's way into the system. However, if we connect this to the bigger picture to understand why the video defends it as a bargain, it is an investment in freedom.
Okay, how so?
Compared to the restrictive legal fees of corporate sponsorships, you are buying out your own contract. You avoid the suppressed wages that often accompany tied corporate sponsorship. You can negotiate your salary on the open market because the employer knows they don't have to pay immigration lawyers to hire you.
Oh, that makes sense. You can demand what you're actually worth.
Precisely. And more importantly, you are purchasing an accelerated timeline to permanent security. The ultimate payoff of the global talent visa is the fast track to indefinite leave to remain.
Ah, indefinite leave to remain. The Holy Grail.
The absolute holy grail of UK immigration.
That is the permanent right to live, study, work, and access benefits in the UK without ever applying for another visa. You are no longer subject to immigration control.
Exactly. Under the standard corporate sponsorship model, a foreign national typically must work for 5 continuous years before they are even eligible to apply for settlement.
Right, it takes forever.
But the global talent visa dramatically compresses that timeline. Many researchers and anyone endorsed under the top-tier exceptional talent category can apply for settlement after just 3 years.
3 years from arrival to permanent residency. That speed alone explains why this route is causing such a massive buzz. It minimizes the window of time where your life is subject to Home Office policy changes.
It solidifies that venture capital analogy. The UK is basically saying, if you bring your human capital here and deploy it in our market for 3 years, we will grant you permanent equity in our society.
So what does this all mean when we synthesize the dense legal mechanics with the real-world implications? The Global Talent Visa is clearly an unparalleled shortcut to UK residency built on trust and expert peer review rather than corporate sponsorship.
It shifts the entire paradigm of risk. In a standard visa, the risk is managed by keeping the individual strictly contained. Here, the government accepts the risk of autonomy, trusting that the rigorous vetting has identified individuals whose intrinsic drive will benefit the economy.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating structural question about the true limits of this golden ticket. If the core philosophy of this visa allows you to freely quit your job, start a business, or freelance without government penalty, what happens if you fail?
That is the ultimate test of the policy's design. Does the exceptional promise visa implicitly grant you the freedom to take massive professional risks, go broke on a failed AI startup, and still keep your right to stay in the country?
Does the state implicitly accept that your trajectory might crash? It's a complex question about what happens when an immigration system subsidizes the freedom to fail. And that is something for you to ponder as you evaluate your own industry standing and whether you have the track record to convince a panel of experts to bet on your future. Thank you for joining us on this custom deep dive.
We hope dissecting these mechanics gave you a clearer view of the actual leverage this visa provides.
Keep exploring the forces, keep questioning the systems, and we'll catch you next time.